Hey everyone, and welcome to today's vlog about cutting down your sugar intake, some practical tips, and why eating fruit is okay even though it has sugar in it, so why? Alright, so we're going to talk about that stuff. I also have a blog post on this topic written on sugarysixpack.com, and guys, it's 1,000 words. I'm pretty proud, and they're usually like 400 because I just don't like to write, but was going wild today. So if you want to read that instead, check that out. Otherwise, we're here and we're starting on our ways to cut down on sugar. So the first thing that I'm going to mention is making your own treats at home. So this is super important, guys, and it's something that has really helped me to cut down on my sugar intake. I used to be someone that would just be like, oh, let me stop by and grab a Hershey bar because I want something chocolate, or, you know, that cake looks pretty good. Maybe I'll just take it back to the house and keep it there. And, you know, of course, I'll just eat it in moderation, but I wouldn't. So making my own treats, and I'm going to encourage you to make your own treats, can really, really make a big difference on the amount of sugar and the quality of sugar that you're taking in. So the people who are making these baked goods and sweets and candies and stuff at the store do not care about your health. It is sad, but it is true. So basically their goal is to have you keep buying it. So one, they want it to taste really good, which usually involves lots of sugar. And then that's not very hard for you to have you keep buying it when sugar is a pretty addictive thing. So the more we have, the more we want. And it's a vicious cycle that really benefits them more than it benefits our health. So making your own treats at home, of course, the occasional treat out or dessert out or candy or whatever is not going to be a big deal. It's when you're doing it a lot, quite often, multiple days a week, that it becomes an issue and you're taking in a lot of processed sugar. So some of the things, and you can find these on my blog, making little power bites at home. You can make those with like cashews or almonds and dates and cacao or even honey. I like using raw honey, so we'll talk about that in a minute. You can make those, you can make your own granola, you can even just get some dark chocolate chips and have those around because those do tend to be pretty low in sugar. So if you're trying to cut back on sugar, one of the things that I do keep around sometime is some very high cacao dark chocolate chips. So when you're looking at those, and we'll talk about this in a minute as well, you want to make sure that there's a lot of cacao in them and they don't just say dark chocolate. Usually when there's no percentage on there, it means they're very, very, very close to still being milk chocolate. So you want one that says 70% or, you know, somewhere around there or higher. Of course, I've got my sheet I'm going to refer to so I don't get too off track. So some of the things, like I said before, when you're making your own treats, you can use date paste. That's one of my favorites because you're getting all the fiber, vitamins, minerals, nutrients from those dates, and it's sweetening your food at the same time. So it's a double whammy. You can use raw honey. Raw honey is great because it hasn't had all of the benefits stripped out of it, like the processed honey on the shelves has, which also often has some additives and other things in it. So when you're looking at honey, a lot of times it's best to look for the raw honey and not just grab whatever's there or whatever you first see. The little Pooh Bear bottle is so cute, but probably not your best quality. And then 3, you can use coconut sugar too sometimes as well. It's not one of my number 1 favorites, but the other 2 I love. So those are some kind of ways that you can sweeten things up for yourself at home. You can even add, you know, a little bit of honey to your tea. I know that adding, or coffee, I guess. I've never had coffee with honey, but tea with honey is great. So we're gonna go on to number 2 because I don't want this to last too long, and that's going to be make sure you're eating enough and make sure you're getting in nourishing foods. So I know I harp on these things all the time, but let's see how they apply to cutting down on your sugar intake. So making sure that you're eating enough. I know we've all been there. I definitely have. I'm out somewhere, I forgot my snack, I'm starving, I'm dying, I literally will eat anything in sight, and my body just wants something sugary and simple and easy to process. So when your body is super hungry, when you let it get super hungry, it's gonna crave something simple like that. It wants those simple sugars so that it can spike back up. You're probably getting low blood sugar and your body just wants that sweet, sugary treat. I know I've been in the mall before staring at Auntie Anne's pretzels, the cinnamon sugar one, just like, I really shouldn't do it, but I'm dying. So that is something super simple to solve. Of course, make sure that you're eating enough at your meals. You definitely don't want to. I know it's easy to be like, oh, I want to eat healthy and then just eat a few lettuce leaves and be like, well, that was my salad, but that is not filling, that is not enough. If you're eating those salads, pack it with all kind of veggies, load it with protein, things like that. Make sure that you're eating a filling meal full of, veggies or other healthy carbs, protein and healthy fats. I love dumping avocado on my salad. It's amazing. So it just helps you stay fuller longer when you're eating a well-rounded, healthy meal. So make sure you're eating enough at your meals and make sure that you carry around an emergency healthy snack, or just even if you bring something daily with you in your purse, something that you want to eat, not, the emergency peanut M&Ms from the vending machine. So make sure that you are planning ahead and bringing a snack that you are prepared for the times when you start to get hungry. That's a lifesaver, I promise. And then part 2 of this, eating nourishing foods. So this is it can seem at first unrelated. If you're eating food, you're eating food. Why would you want sugar if you're eating different kinds of food? But eating nourishing foods is super important because sometimes when our body is lacking a certain nutrient, it will crave sugar or crave a multitude of things that aren't good for us. We don't have to go super deep into it, but just knowing sometimes can be helpful in preventing you from just going off on a sugar tangent when you think, have I eaten my veggies? Have I had enough protein? Have I had enough healthy fats? Did I have enough water? Am I hungry? All of these things that you want to check before you go ahead and dive into that processed sugary dessert. Because you are now aware and you know that, well, maybe this is what's going on instead. Maybe I don't just desperately need that sugar. Maybe I need magnesium and that's why I want chocolate. So just knowing that and kind of having it in the back of your mind when you have a massive sugar craving, you can kind of go over the things that it might be that maybe help to convince you that you don't need that super sugary sweet. All right, and then the last thing that I'm going to say will really, really help is checking the ingredients list. And so when I'm saying to check the ingredients list, I'm not talking about checking the label and looking for the total amount of sugar or anything like that. I literally mean looking at the ingredients lists on the foods that you're buying. So of course we want to ideally eat as much non-packaged, non-processed food as possible because it just has so many more benefits for us and so much better for our body, our mind, all of those wonderful things. But we are going to eat some foods that come in a package. It's pretty much just life. We don't have to, but most of us are going to, so I might as well touch on this. We want to look at the ingredients list. So many things in the grocery store that we wouldn't think have sugar in them have massive amounts of sugar, or have more sugar than we think, or even just have some sugar and we don't think it has any sugar at all. A great example of that is peanut butter. So we don't really associate peanut butter as being something sweet. We pair peanut butter with chocolate because it's a sweet and a not sweet thing. But 90% of the peanut butter on the shelves has sugar in it. So you can avoid that by looking at the ingredients list and getting the peanut butter that doesn't have sugar in it. There's always it's probably usually a more natural brand or something that doesn't have the sugar. But things like peanut butter, breads, granola and protein bars and things like that generally have a lot more sugar than we think they do. So you can really cut down gradually on added sugars if you're looking at the ingredients list and looking at how many different, types of sugar are added in there. And then once you see that there's a bunch of added sugars, you can go and you can compare which one has less sugar per serving. And just saving, 2 or 3 grams of sugar per serving of different things throughout the day can add up to a lot less processed sugar. So these are super simple tips. They're nothing crazy, nothing extreme. I'm not asking you to look at the label and if it has any kind of sugar on it or honey or anything added to just, get away. But comparing and looking rather than just grabbing, your usual whatever, and just checking to see if there is sugar and if there is an alternative that has less or doesn't have any sugar can save you a lot of processed sugar in the process of your eating. So those are kind of my easy tips for cutting down on processed sugar. And now we're going to talk a little bit about fruit and why fruit is okay even though we're trying to cut down on sugar. So processed added sugar is going to be a lot different than the sugar that you're going to get from fruit. Processed sugar is pretty much empty calories. It's straight up just sugar. It has no benefits for your body. And yeah, we're just eating it because it tastes good and it's sweet. So when we look over at fruit instead, there's going to be a lot of benefits that come along with fruit that we don't get in other places necessarily, like the vitamins and minerals in fruit. You can't get them always in other things. The things that we get from fruits and veggies are unique a lot of times to fruits and veggies, so we definitely want to eat enough of those and make sure that we're not avoiding them altogether just because we think they're sugary. So yes, the vitamins and minerals in fruits are important things. 2, fruits are hydrating. A lot of them are made up of a good bit of water, so most of us don't drink enough water in the day, and having fruits as some of our snacks can help with that water intake because you are eating your water through fruit, which is always wonderful if you're not so great at remembering to drink all your water. And then 3, fruits have fiber. So that crazy sugar high that we get from desserts and processed sugar, and then the massive crash that we get afterwards is not going to happen from fruit because fiber slows that sugar spike down. So there we have it. That's a very quick and simple and basic why fruit is okay, and I definitely recommend having your servings of fruit in a day, and having less processed sugar and maybe picking up a few more pieces of fruit instead. It's massively beneficial, I promise. And then I just want to close off with, don't be upset if you want to make health changes and you have goals to do this and that and the other, and it's not happening overnight, or you feel like you keep falling backwards. I promise you, sugar used to be a major food group for me. In college, I'd have multiple desserts a day, and then I'd stop by and get a candy bar, and it was horrible for my health, but I was running so much because I competed that it didn't really show up on myself, so I didn't see a problem. But there was, and there is. So don't feel bad if it takes you a long time to adjust to some of these things. Pick one, try it out, and build on that. It took me years of building small steps on small steps on small steps to get to somewhere where I'm eating better and are more nourishing and I'm feeling better and things like that. So definitely don't get discouraged. You can do it, I promise. It's just a matter of staying strong and committed and trying and trying and trying again. Another thing that I want to mention is everything in moderation is of course going to be okay. So I'm not telling you to never have another dessert again or never have another piece of candy again. These are just ways to, for the most part, cut down on your sugar. I definitely am the person who loves to have their treats on Christmas or their birthday or another special occasion, or even a small treat during the week somewhere in there, just so you still feel like you're living your life and it's sustainable and can last. So definitely live your life in a way that you still feel like you're living your life while you're making strides towards your goals. And yeah, we're all going to have our own balance, so it's going to be different for everyone, and in different times in our life it's going to be different. So you may be able to be really on track, on point all the time right now, and a few months from now things happen and maybe you're a little less on track, or it's Thanksgiving and you're a little less on track, but you get back afterwards. It's all okay, it's all good. Remember, it's a long-term thing, so we want that lifestyle long term. We want it to last, so we want it to be enjoyable for us. And I'm a little off track now, so I'm going to end. Make sure that if you want to head to the blog, I'm going to link it below. Definitely like and subscribe and all those things that help me be able to keep sharing all this stuff, keep sharing workouts and things like that. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope that these tips and things are helpful. And yeah, definitely let me know what you think below. Any suggestions on vlogs or whatever, things that you want to know, learn more about, and I'll see you next time.